Good afternoon, everybody. Well, I should say good afternoon, Flower Shop Network members. We're so glad to have you with us this afternoon as we are kicking off, as you see on the screen, a summer of learning, and I'll explain in some more detail what that entails. Many of you, when I look at the registration report, have been with us since we started this back at the beginning of the year. Those newer members or those who are just joining us, this is part of a series. It's called Shop Talk with Tim. And this month in our short and sweet workshop, we're going to cover the best interviewing practices, because obviously this is a hot topic for everybody as we are struggling to find staff and keep the best staff and how to go about it. Let me take a moment and fill you in. So it's important from my perspective, especially if you've never heard of me or my company before, that you understand who I am and what we're doing, what we're all about. So my name is Tim Huckabee. I've been in the flower industry nearly 30 years. Back in 1997, I started the world's first and only company dedicated solely toward helping retail and wholesale florists become more prosperous, floral strategies. And I'm very proud to say that we have over 7,000 flower shops, individual flower shops, who have either brought us in to do on-site training, have done distance training with us, join our webinars. There's lots of different ways that we educate the industry. And I'm really, really happy to be partnering with Flower Shop Network. We're huge fans of the service. We've been working with the company for years. I personally have visited their headquarters in Arkansas. So I'm happy to be here, happy that you're with us, and I want to get going. I also want to just kind of throw out the purpose. Sometimes, we're asked like, well, what's the purpose of these? The purpose of these workshops is to introduce to you the idea that you can get education and sales training. It's to give you some new ideas and thinking, albeit in a kind of short and sweet environment like we are. And it's to help you to understand that you can change things. You can change the way your staff acts. You can change the way your customers shop. It's all within your realm of capability. And we're just going to show you that little by little every month. Before I get into today's topic, though, I do want to talk to you about what this whole summer of learning, what it means. We've got a program called the 15-Minute Florist, and I know there's a little bit of confusion because this workshop is 15-minute. The 15-Minute Florist is something totally different. It's outside the scope of Flower Shop Network. It's a paid membership program, and it entails 15-minute pre-recorded workshops on a variety of topics, and I'll show those to you momentarily. But what we're excited about, what we're doing, is every Friday through the entire summer for June, July, and August, we're actually giving away $50 to students who are in this program. We're going to do a random drawing. A student who's gone through one of our workshops, their name is going to be drawn, and they're going to get $50. It'll be a Visa credit card, but everybody is invited. Everyone is invited to join the program, watch these workshops, expand your horizons. And just to give you an idea of some of the topics that we cover, we have workshops on all of these items. It's a little bit of everything. So I think we cover every aspect of running a flower shop, and it's all done online. It's fun, it's easy, it's quick, it's engaging, and heck, chance you could earn $50 just for learning to do your job better. So let's talk about best interviewing practices. It's a job that I know sometimes you as owners and managers don't like to do. It's awkward, it's uncomfortable. And part of the reason why I wanted to do this introductory workshop is I visited too many flower shops and have seen an employee at work, and the owner is kind of like rolling his or her eyes, or saying like, oh my gosh, I wish I hadn't hired them. And then of course that begs the question, well, why did you hire them? What steps did you take? What was the interviewing process? What was the vetting process? And it comes back to kind of a shrug of the shoulders, and I'm told, well, she seemed nice. Guess what? At HR at IBM, they don't hire people because they seem nice. There's a process. And I realize you're not IBM. However, you can adopt and adapt those principles that are used in big companies to make sure that you're getting the right person in the door. In general, what I have learned in my work with HR experts is that there are 4 simple rules that you need to follow to make sure that you are going through the interview process in the best way possible and ending up with the most qualified person for your store. And, in all likelihood, somebody who's going to kind of fit with the culture and the vibe of your business. So let's talk about some of those. Rule number 1 is you've got to test the people who are coming to work for you. And what I mean specifically is tell somebody when you are talking to them on the phone or communicating through email that when they come in, they are going to be tested. We want to make sure that they are proficient in their job. We're not just going to, again, hire somebody because they seem nice or because they tell us they can do this, or they can tell us they can do that. You've got to test them. And when I say test them, I mean test everybody, even your driver. Yes, test even your drivers. You want to hire the most qualified person. You want to make sure that they can do the job to the standards that you're expecting. And although this isn't a bulletproof way of ensuring that you're going to get the ideal employee who's going to stay with you forever, it is a way of helping you understand early on that this person is a potential good fit for us, or they're not. And probably the most challenging part on this is giving realistic feedback. And what comes to mind for me, it's kind of laughable, but there's a flower shop I visited in Georgia years ago, and they had a designer, very sweet woman, well into her 70s. She might have been a retired flower shop owner. She came in once a week to help out. And I noticed that the owner of the flower shop kept chasing the driver out afterwards, after he or she after she was loading the van. Finally said, what are you doing? And let's call this elderly designer Kathy. They said, well, we just have to always go out and fix Kathy's designs. And I held my head in my hands and I said, did you ever think about talking to Kathy? Oh no, we don't want to upset her. So maybe that was a one-off, or maybe that was different or an exception, but you get my point. Even in this test, if the person doesn't do well, you need to give them feedback. And the other thing that's critical is you've got to time this test. Make sure that the person is operating at the level that you need. And I'll give you an example, or show you how to structure those tests. So for your design people, give them an order, give them a challenging order, and time them and tell them you're going to have X number of minutes to execute that, and see how they do, see how they gather their materials, see how they make an assessment of the order beyond looking at what they produce. I think sometimes we have a tendency to just look at the finished product, but it's all part of the bigger picture, literally, to find out how efficient is this designer, how does he or she do in terms of controlling waste. Do they have a good eye for color? All of this is critical for you to review. When you're interviewing somebody who is going to be working for you in a sales or customer service capacity, which in all likelihood may be the same person. I totally understand that now more than ever in a smaller shop, we are calling on employees to wear multiple hats, but this is a big issue. Do they have keyboarding skills? I'm so frustrated with going to flower shops and seeing somebody writing out an order and then going and entering afterwards because she's not a fast typer or he's not a fast typist. And then kind of the wise guy in me says, well, I'm curious, when you go to make deliveries, do you push the delivery truck or do you drive it? Because that's equally inefficient. There are tests out there, typing tests, that you can give a potential hire to make sure that they've got basic keyboarding skills. They don't need to type 60 words a minute. They're not going in the steno pool, but you want to make sure that you're hiring somebody who's comfortable talking to a customer and using the keyboard simultaneously. Otherwise, they are less valuable as an employee and really shouldn't be paid much. And if I were involved in the ultimate decision, I wouldn't hire somebody unless they had those keyboarding skills. And you can give your drivers a test as well. And you can come up with a couple of working questions like, what would you do in this situation if they said this, or you had to leave it in neighbors, or what would you do if the arrangement fell over in the car? Would you come back to the store? Would you try to fix it yourself? What would you do if it were exceptionally hot? Would you leave it and try to contact? Common sense. And we like to think that everybody has common sense, but unfortunately they often don't. So maybe you can draw on bad experiences you've had in the past with some of your delivery people and work these into an exam. Again, it's not 100% bulletproof way of ensuring that you hire the perfect person, but better to understand this now. And these are red flags. Getting back to the design person for a minute, if that designer takes way too long to create a gorgeous arrangement, you've got to think, okay, she's a talented designer, or he does great work, but if it's going to be at a snail's pace, that's going to cost me money. That's going to slow down my team. These are all critical assessments you have to make while you are interviewing that person and give them feedback. Okay, let's look at another rule. And that rule is investigate. Do your homework, understand what's going on. So to that point, ask for 3 work references. Find out where they have worked and whether or not it's floral. They maybe have only worked at one other flower shop. Don't think that you only want to talk to flower shop references. No, you want to find out where they work. You want to see a pattern. You want to understand their work ethic. You want to understand how they operate, how dependable they are. Also ask for 2 personal references. I don't think we do that enough, but it's important to get these as well. Family, friend, whatever. I think a personal reference is self-explanatory. And guess what, people, don't just ask for this information. Follow up. Actually get on the phone, follow up with all these references. And you want to talk to them. You want to engage. You want to find out as much as you can about this person. And I'm fascinated how sometimes I've had people apply for a job, because I've helped many flower shop owners go through this process, and they give a reference and they call the reference and they're like, yeah, she was horrible. Like, I would never hire him again. And I think, really? Like, why would you do that? So that obviously is kind of a gift to you, that you realize right away there's a problem, but sometimes you have to do a little bit of probing. So what I would do is, first of all, confirm the information. Make sure that indeed this person worked there when they said that they did, that they actually had the duties that they're claiming that they said that they did. Because sometimes people have a tendency to kind of bloat their work experience, and you want to make sure that it's in line with what you're expecting, and also in line with what they're expecting to get paid. Ask the right questions. When I make these calls, sometimes the person at the other end overshares, tells me too much information, but that's rare. I think in general, we're getting a little bit more cautious about what we're going to divulge. And you may have somebody who will say, all that I can do is validate or confirm when he or she worked here, and that's it. You can try sideways to get in a question. A good question that I think speaks volumes is ask them, would this person be eligible for rehire? And quite honestly, when I hear a no, it doesn't matter whether she was chronically late or was picking fights on the design floor or whatever the issue was, but the fact that they're not eligible for rehire is a big concern. Doesn't mean that you may not hire that person, but I definitely would bring that up in the conversation with that potential hire and say, hey, you know what? I liked your design and I liked everything that I read. When I did follow up on your references, this is what I was told, that you wouldn't be eligible for rehire. You want to explain that. You want to elaborate, give them a chance to talk about it. Maybe there is more to it than meets the eye, but it definitely is kind of a red flag. But please, please, please do your homework, do your due diligence. The last thing you want to do is hire somebody and then have regrets and think, oh my gosh, why did I hire this person? Or why didn't I find this out earlier? It's all on you. It's all in your control. And it really is your job, because you've got to think too that the person you're hiring, like I said at the beginning, has to be a good worker, but also you want them to represent your company well. Ideally, you want them to fit in socially with the group, because let's face it, often in a flower shop, we're working closely. At the holidays, we're working crazy long hours. It's hard work. It's hard work working in a flower shop. It's light manufacturing when all is said and done. So make sure you're getting the best qualified people for your store. So there are 2 of the 4 critical rules that you need to follow in order to do the best interview and ideally get the best person in for your store. So that is that's our workshop for today. But I do want to stop, give you a moment, see if you have any questions or any comments. I have Don from my office with us, and he's happy to unmute you. And if you have a microphone on your computer, you can ask a question. If you don't have a microphone, if you're on a traditional desktop computer, you can type in your question. So the way to do this is next to your name, there is a little icon. It looks like a hand. If you click on that, that will alert us that you want to ask a question, you want to share an opinion, you want to give some feedback. So Don, I will come to you and see if there are any hands up or any questions have been typed in.
We don't have any yet.
Okay, we'll pause for a minute. And for that matter, if anybody wants to share a horror story that we can all benefit from, that's equally important, an equally important way to learn pitfalls or mistakes to avoid if you hired somebody and didn't follow through and kind of regretted it. That's important stuff. Okay, well, I want to keep this short and sweet as we promised. So let's keep going, and I'll tell you what we've got planned for you. Definitely join the Summer of Learning. We'll send you a link. We'll reach out to you. If you're not a member of our 15-Minute Florist Club yet, do so. Wealth of information, fun learning platform, chance to earn some money, $50, chance to help grow your business exponentially. We're going to be meeting again next month, right after the holiday. So it'll be Wednesday, July 7th. The topic for our quick meeting then will be how to boost store traffic. Okay. And then what we'll do is we will send out, as a part of our follow-up, a link to our YouTube channel. There are some samples of our work there. You can learn more about what we do, who we are. Here's some of our other workshops. And before we bring on Cindy from FSN, just remind you there's their phone number if you want to reach out to them, maybe take on some additional services from them. Maybe you don't have your website with them yet. This would be a great time to do that. So Cindy, let's come to you. Cindy is the VP of Sales for Flower Shop Network. And Cindy, the floor is yours.
All right, thanks Tim, and thanks FSN members for joining us today. Hopefully you picked up just a few tips on interviewing practices. I do know we've had some great testimonials from some of our FSN members that have done additional training with Tim and floral strategies. One of them being a small town in Mathiston, Mississippi. Did some additional training with Tim in less than a week. The shop owner and her daughter implemented some of Tim's practices and more than paid for the program with him. We have gotten that from several of our FSN members, so we love to hear those great stories from them. We do welcome your feedback on future topics. We have sent out a survey and got some great feedback for upcoming webinars, but if there's a particular topic you'd love to hear, we would love for you to share that information with us. We appreciate working with each one of you. Call FSN anytime. We would love to update you on the exciting things we have happening with our websites. That's
Perfect. Well, thank you. And yeah, that's great to hear that there's another small flower shop making more money than they were making before. That's the name of the game. Obviously, we want to keep customers happy and we want to work with this beautiful product, but we also want to make some money. We don't want to be working till we're 74, right? I don't. So it doesn't look like any hands went up, but we will give you our contact information again. So if you want to follow up with us afterwards, have a question, make a suggestion, talk about a future topic. So Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, FSN, for bringing us all together. Everybody, enjoy your summer, and we will see you in July and continue the learning. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.